Hello, children. Welcome back to another session of Learning English. Today, we're going to learn Class 9, Unit 3 poem entitled as On Killing a Tree. So, let's see its introduction. On Killing a Tree is a poem by Jeev Patel, and it is an ironical poem in which the poet describes how to kill a tree. Now, the steps described by him are cruel and inhumane. Hence, the poem is not exactly about killing a tree. Instead, the poet he tries to invoke sympathy and pity for trees in the heart of the readers. Now, the poem is also a critic of modern world in which humans destroy nature by mass killing of trees for their own benefits. Now, the tree which has survived ages is uprooted and murdered by drying it. That's what the poet says here. Now, let's look at the line by line explanation of the poem. So, let's take the first stanza. Now, in the first stanza, we find it takes much time to kill a tree. Not a simple jab of the knife will do it. It has grown slowly, consuming the earth, rising out of it, feeding upon its crust, absorbing years of sunlight, air, water, and out of its leprous hide sprouting leaves. Now, in the first stanza, the poet says that it takes long time to kill a tree. A simple jab means a hit of the knife. It cannot kill it. It has grown because it has grown slowly by consuming the food from earth, like rising out of it, feeding upon the crust. Crust is the top layer of the earth. Now, absorbing sunlight, air, and water for years. And even the leaves have sprouted from its leprous hide. Here, the leprous hide means the poisonous and the hard layer. Now, here the poet explains why it is difficult to kill a tree. Now, according to him, the tree has taken years to grow. And he says that it has consumed resources from earth and sun. So, it is strong and cannot be easily killed. Now, let's move on to the second stanza. So hack and chop, but this alone won't do it. Not so much pain will do it. The bleeding bark will heal, and from close to the ground will rise curled green twigs, miniature boughs, which if unchecked will expand again to former size. Now, according to the poet, we will need to hack and chop. That means, that is, we need to strike it violently with sharp weapon. However, it cannot, or it alone cannot kill the tree, he says. Neither it will inflict much pain to the tree. Because the bleeding here indicates the wounded bark of the tree. He says it will heal, and from close to the ground, that is from bottom, the green twigs and miniature boughs. Miniature here is small. So the small, shoots that come up after you cut a tree, yes, he says it will rise again. And if we did not cut them, they will again grow and expand to the original size, he says. So in this stanza, the poet tells that mere cutting the stem and branches of tree won't kill it, as after some time, anyhow, new twigs and branches will grow from the bottom. And if we did not cut them in the right way, he says that they will grow to the original size. That means they will become huge trees again. Hence, he would need to find some other and more cruel method of killing the tree. So we need to understand here the poet is not talking about, or he's not giving us ideas how to kill a tree, but instead he wants the reader to understand, and he wants to invoke sympathy and pity for trees in the heart of the readers. Okay, so let's now move on to the third stanza, which starts like this. No, the root is to be pulled out of the anchoring earth. It is to be roped, tied, and pulled out, snapped out, or pulled out entirely out from the earth cave, and the strength of the tree exposed, the source white and wet, the most sensitive hidden for years inside the earth. Now, here this stanza begins with the word no, which means the method discussed or explained here in the stanza that we just read cannot kill the tree. No means it indicates it cannot happen. For killing it, we need to pull the root of the tree out from the place where it has firmly held the earth, right? For taking out the roots, they need to be roped. That's the reason he says that they need to be roped, tied, and then pulled out. Now, we need to snap it. Snap it means to break it or pull it out entirely from the earth cave. Earth cave means where it was. Now, these roots, which are white, wet, and most sensitive, are the real strength of the trees. We need to understand the strength of the tree doesn't lie in what we see outside, but in the roots that are beneath the ground. They have lived deep in the earth for years. Once they are taken out, the strength of the tree is gone, the poet says. So, in this stanza, the poet discusses the cruel way of killing a tree. And according to him, the only way of killing a tree is to either break its roots or pull them out using a rope. They are the most sensitive part and often they are white in color. When they are exposed to sun, the tree dies. That's what the poet says here. Now let's move on to the fourth stanza, which says, then the matter of scorching and choking in sun and air, browning, hardening, twisting, withering, and then it is done. After pulling the roots out, the poet says, they are to be kept in the sun and air, which is hot, right? That means it's so scorching, it's very hot. And the roots which were white will become brown and hard. They will twist and wither. Wither means they'll become dry. And finally, the tree is dead. And our task is done, the poet says. Now, the final stage involves the most cruel part. And what is that? The roots which were sensitive and white will now be exposed to outside environment. They will become hot, dry, hard, twisted, and finally dead. Now the tree will never be able to grow again. Yes, when a tree's roots dry up, it has no hope of rising up again or growing again. So in the conclusion, we see that as we can see, the poet has described every step involved in the process of killing. Now humans are harsh towards nature, isn't it? The trees which are helping the environment since ages are killed instantly, very quickly. Like we are not even taking a second thought. We are just cutting them down, either to make roads or buildings or, so many reasons. So indirectly, the poet here gives the message of save trees, save environment. Save trees, save environment. So I hope children, you have understood this beautiful poem, and you would also apply the good values that you have learned, and you would save trees and save environment. Thank you for your good listening. Let's meet in the next class.